Hi, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Dynamics 365 Security and Licensing Updates, What You Need to Know. I'm Sebastian Anderson with the Licensing and Database Desk here at Avantico. We have a huge topic on the menu for today, one with implications for everyone on the D365 platform. To guide us through these massive changes, which will be coming into effect quite soon, we have Morten Lurkstrup, our Director of Customer Engagement, and Tatiana Subotin, our Licensing and Database Technical Lead. They'll be walking us through what Microsoft's November 1st license enforcement means for D365 users, how to use Azure Telemetry Insights to review actual user behavior and right-size license assignments, what's new in D365 user security and governance, and real-world examples of how clients avoided thousands in unexpected license costs, along with a limited-time licensing assessment offer for attendees. Morten will be taking over shortly, but before we dive into today's session, I'd love to share some of the other exciting webinars and events we have coming up at Avantico. So, on August 26th, we have Microsoft Fabric in Action, Unlocking Operational Intelligence. In this session, you'll see a live demonstration of how Fabric ingests real-time data, applies AI agents to detect anomalies, predict failures, and deliver executive-level insights through predictive dashboards, all in minutes, not hours. And in September, be on the lookout for freight invoice accuracy, automating freight reconciliation in D365 F&SCM, where you'll catch hidden overages, automate billing, and maximize freight savings directly inside D365, and maximize your ROI with Dynamics 365 Finance and SCM Update 10.0.45. You'll see live demos of the most impactful 1045 updates, get practical insights on the 2025 release cycle, and learn how to align new features with your roadmap to maximize your return on investment. Keep your eyes peeled for more dates, details, and be sure to let us know about any topics you'd like to see us cover in the future. All registration links for these events will be made available in the chat and on our website. One last note. As we go along, do not hesitate to pop any questions you have into the chat, and we will answer them in the open Q&A at the end of the presentation or in direct email follow-up. This talk will also be recorded and distributed in a follow-up mailer for easy viewing later on. And with that, Morten, take it away.
Thank you, Sebastian, and good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Morten. I'm here in Los Angeles, part of our security and licensing desk. If you have been here before, the first give and take 5 slides might be redundant, but we are going through some of the things that is baseline to what's happening, and then we are going into some of the tools available. And feel free, as Sebastian was mentioning, feel free to ask as many questions as possible. We hear a lot during our day-to-day engagement with many different customers across the globe. And we also working directly with the Microsoft security and licensing team, where we are bringing back bugs and so on that we are discovering with our customers. So we are definitely happy to harvest any feedback that you see when you are looking into your tools, and then taking it directly up with Microsoft. So hopefully they can improve the different reports that are available. But the agenda today, we will go through some self-assessment or high-level assessment of, hey, where to look, what to do. We will go into the more advanced analysis. And Tatiana, my coworker, she will show you some of the tools in D365, talk a little bit about how to enable telemetry. We actually generated a blog post since the last webinar, how to. Sebastian, you can probably drop that in the chat at some point. And then we will also talk about some of the bugs that we have seen Unfortunately, we have not been able to address those because they literally came up the last couple of days. But probably we will have more insight into resolutions to some of those, and then we will update either web or directly to all you guys that are registered for the event. But if there's any questions, just pop them in the chat. I cannot see them, so Sebastian, please stop me if there is questions, and we can definitely take them on the go. But first of all, for those that are new or not aware, Microsoft are enforcing licensing for finance and supply chain starting September 1st, meaning your users will receive a little notification if they don't have the correct licenses. We will look into some of the examples of what that could be a little bit later on, but the hard enforcement starts in November 1st. As of now, Microsoft might announce that they are pushing the date due to the tools available. We don't know. As soon as we know, we will definitely let you know. And for those that haven't switched to the new view of Power Platform Admin Center, you can go ahead and do that. There's a few new functionalities, new reports, and so on. But that's definitely the workspace that you can start by looking at. Some of the impacted applications: finance premium, which is the premium SKU of finance, so it's more or less the same. There's just more functionalities. Supply chain premium, and then commerce and project operation and human resources. So the standard stack of application in traditional finance and supply chain. There's a couple of unknowns as of now, and that ties into some of the conversations we have with Microsoft. When will the different discrepancies and bugs in user security governance be solved so that it actually reflects correctly in your, for example, in your Power Platform admin center and reports? We are working on getting some updates on that so we can push it out to all our customers and people that are attending the webinars. I do expect that we might have more information early next week. So if you have discrepancies, drop your email in the chat, and we can keep you informed of what's happening. So from a user perspective and an admin perspective, users, they will get a bar a notification bar in D365 that will look like what you see right here in the background. And the admin users, you also get a notification in your admin center. You probably already have it. But in there should be some more articles and some guides on how to. We will go into some of that because it's not so intuitive to actually clean it up. You need to be pretty hands-on, and if you have many users and a lot of different security configurations in your system, it can be a pretty daunting task that can take some time. So my recommendation is get ready as early as possible because it can easily take a month to clean it up, depending on the amount of users and your security, D365 security design. But September 1st, this is what we're expecting to happen. So be sure, because a lot of users will probably reach out if you are IT admin or some of that sort. What we know so far, Microsoft have made available and also to have in mind, clean admin accounts. They are not being charged for licenses. So what we see when we do analyst reports is there is let's say a handful of admin users, but some of these admins actually have additional security roles. Then they would need licenses. But if they are clean admins, remove the other roles, and then you won't have to pay for licenses. The same goes for service accounts. So that's two good things that can help you a little bit at least. For device storage, if you're operating warehouses, scanners, and so on, and also for the storage that you might be aware of, it's not currently enforced and won't be enforced on November 1st, but it's on the roadmap. So what we have heard from Microsoft is first, let's get the users licensed correctly, because then you get a certain amount of additional storage. And then we are working here in 2026 on enforcing the device and storage licenses. ISVs, it's very common that, let's say, a little broader ISVs or more maybe legacy ISVs that you have carried over from AX or Navision or GP to D365 might have implications into your security design. So check out if we actually have a case right now where AP tool is dragging up full user licenses instead of activity licenses. So that's a third-party AP automation tool that are where the customer then have to work directly with the ISV to figure out, hey, how can we lower the security design for the ISV so that we don't have to be punished, so to speak, when the licensing enforcement comes in. Remember, it's not that common, but if you have multiple tenants, you have to consider those multiple scenarios because it won't let you go. And multiplexing for those who are using a lot of Power Platform, for example, or D365, be aware that there could be some scenarios where Microsoft is like, it ain't gonna happen. What kind of tools is available? You have the admin center that you're probably very familiar with. You can see if licenses have been assigned. You can assign licenses. There's some high level reports, who have the reports and so on. You have the new user security governance tool. If you have not enabled it, I believe it was available in 43. Definitely go in and enable it. We can also help with that, but it's in your feature management. There's a couple of preview. I think there's 2 or 3. Tatiana can probably show that later. And lifecycle services, you should be familiar with that. There's some good reports. Those numbers should reflect in your Power Platform center. We have seen a few discrepancies or delays, but I think it's slowly being updated. So you have 4 places where you can actually get some pretty good insight. But again, you can get the insight, but acting on that insight is where the complexity is. Any questions so far?
Looks like we have a clean question field so far, but if anyone does have anything they'd like answered, please put it down in the chat. We'll be happy to take you up on it.
Perfect. I'm powering through because it's much more important to go in to check out some of the new tools and maybe get some questions there.
Agreed, and there will be future breaks as well. So carry on.
Deprecated reports. You might be familiar with these if you're looking into different user reports. They are no longer valid. They are being removed by Microsoft if they aren't already. The new workspace is user security governance. There's much more detail, and the metadata have been synced, or it's in sync now at least. So it's actually reflecting what's happening in LCS and so on. So user security governance, that's the way to go. That's where you have to work in the future. The old reports, forget about them. If we jump over to what can you do yourself, there is a little, and we will share the slide and recording and everything, but it's all about try first to understand your baseline, and you can do that by pulling the reports in Power Platform Admin Center. That's probably the easiest. I'll show you a couple of screenshots in a second, and you connect this. There's some export functionalities and so on. We will also show you that. What I kind of are missing a little bit, it's some changeable recommendations so that it's easier for the customer, for the end user, to actually optimize the different roles, because some of this might be inherited from people who implemented or from legacy security design or something, and it can be very difficult to change because what are the actual impact downstream? Do we have users that cannot do a certain functionalities and so on? So here's probably where telemetry comes into play, but we will talk about that later. So this is kind of the three steps. It's all about extract data and compare and analyze. It can be very complex if you have a lot of users. If you have a few, let's say under 50 or something, it's fairly straightforward, but it can be complex depending on your ISVs and so on. Many dependencies. Plan for additional licenses depending on how you're purchasing your licenses. But let's say November 1st comes around. We have give and take 25 business days until the notification in September, and then a little bit more until November 1st. But if you are on, for example, a enterprise agreement or CSP, and CSP is not so fast at responding, be prepared because there will probably be a lot of customers globally all of a sudden requesting licenses if they have not been aware of what's happening. And if you don't have the licenses, again, then users won't be able to access the system. That's at least what's been communicated as of now. If we jump over to and most of you, hopefully you're already familiar with this, so I'm just powering through with high cadence. But in here, in your new Power Platform Admin Center, you have the different user reports. They might be a little bit different depending on if Microsoft have applied some updates. But in here, you can pretty much see the different licenses required, the available seats, meaning what do you already have, assigned seat, and that comes back to historically. Users could have gone into the system without a license. So you probably have in most cases, we see very low assignment percentage. And then you have the required. And the required is pay attention to that because that can be a shocker or a sticker where you're like, oh my God, I didn't budget for X amount of new supply chain management licenses. Let me actually dive into to the details and understand what's causing X amount of supply chain, for example, licenses that are required. So you can click on the different green buttons here and get some additional detail. You can also export. But if we, for example, click on View User over here, and you can do it in the background, I'm sure, then you get some more details into it. This is a finance. Who are the users? And we are, of course, only talking about production because sandboxes is disregard. And then over here in the required license, yes, they need a base license. What are the security role? In some cases, there could be multiple security roles, but in here, it gives you like a high level understanding of who need licenses and what license do they need. Again, I've seen a new feature, and I'm sharing it right here. It's a kind of a recommendation feature, and the recommendation is pretty much assign a license. So, so it's not the best because I would assume that you as end user would love recommendation related to what can I do and to, for example, avoid a full license if activity license is a better match, or if it can be used because it's a significant cost difference. So there's hopefully more updates will come to the reports and to the recommendation sections. Right now, there's none. And as soon as we get some more information of what's on the roadmap, we are going to share it with you. Because right now, yep, it's difficult. It's very, very difficult. This is pretty much just for you to purchase licenses, but not optimizing your licensing mix. Any questions before I jump to the next section?
So far, no questions.
Perfect. Database capacity. Mentioned earlier, this is not being enforced as of September 1st and November 1st, but we have seen a significant amount of new cases where customers' database are all the way from 3 terabyte over entitlement, and entitlement comes with the amount of licenses you have, to 10 terabyte, 10, 11 terabyte over entitlement. And in these cases, customers have been operating for less than a year. So there is definitely something you need to pay attention to, because when the database licensing enforcement go into place, that can be a lot of money. And it's not so easy to, with the current tools and so on, to reduce the database size. With in a couple of days, it can actually take multiple months, 3, 4, 5 months, depending on complexity and so on. But in here, in the licensing guide, on page 40 something, you can find what you're entitled to. But so okay, I need to buy X amount of new licenses. Then I also get X amount of additional database, both for CM and for finance and supply chain, and that would then appear in your tab. Let's see here if I can change the slide here. Whoop, that would appear in your capacity add-on. So go in and check if you're over. I do recommend that you start looking into it, especially if you are on an enterprise agreement, because and if that enterprise agreement is up for renewal, or you have your anniversary, because you will probably being asked, hey, you need to buy some additional storage. So if you can avoid that, or if there's some mechanism to avoid it, you preferably looking into it. There's an okay amount of insight here. If you're not familiar, you can see over here. You can see what's actually accumulating. But back to again, it's your licenses. But the most important tab, that's the finance and operation, that gives you a good breakdown of the tables. And from there on, I'll show you an example in a second. Then you can get some more insight into what can you do yourself, and what could your partner help you with to reduce it. This is just an example of a customer that are over entitlement. And when you're over entitlement, there is a warning button up here. I think it appeared a couple of months ago for a customer. We have not seen exactly what it's impacting as the notification state, but there might be some impact in the future. We are not aware of any impact so far. But it's coming, the enforcement is coming, so be aware. Let me jump over to the tab where you can actually see what's driving the database entitlement. This is just an example, and in this case, there's a lot of sandboxes. There's some production environments, and then a bunch of sandboxes again. If you find that, hey, I have a very large production table, click on the little purple or pink or what color this is, and then you can get a good breakdown of the tables. And what we have found that is depending if it's inventory trends, if it's batch job history or something, most of it is actually indexes behind the scene that you can do something with. But it has impact depending on what tables are driving your database size on reporting and so on. So it's not that simple to get it reduced, but you definitely need a plan if you have a agreement coming up for renewal or something like that. And also just be ready for the enforcement. We talked about this last time. There is some different prices, public available. You can see it in Admin Center. When you go into purchase services, I believe that the tab is. And then there's different prices depending on what you need. So you can quickly do a little assessment of what it costs and so on and so forth. Any questions, Sebastian? Powering through.
I think the only questions in the chat so far pertain to Tatiana's upcoming demo. She has answered a few of them on the fly and will be presenting on the topics in a little bit. So
perfect. Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. Let me dig into a more advanced analysis that we provide, because as you saw, there's not a lot of recommendations in the current tools. But we can deliver an analysis in give and take 6-7 business days. They only require a couple of hours of your time, and you should definitely do it if you don't have the resources in-house to do the analysis of where am I today, where should I be and what could I be, so to speak, because there is in every single scenario we have seen, there is some low-hanging fruits, and then there is also some more detailed recommendations where you actually need to do some work. There's many good reasons for doing it, and we have kept the price significant low for it to help as many customers as possible. But the process for those who don't know, it's give and take. We need a 60-minute screen share where we go over the baseline of what you have today, how is your reports looking, and then we're extracting some data from either your security, user security governance, if you have that module enabled, or we take some data extracts from D365 that pertain to users, to sub roles and security roles and so on. Then we are pretty much analyzing your data. And if you have telemetry enabled, that's absolutely fantastic. If not, we can help you enable it so that you actually have some statistics to make decisions on top of our recommendations. And our recommendations, we normally see that for larger customers, that there's users still in the system that left the company, and that's driving up licenses. We see admin accounts that have too many roles, or we see a bunch of different things. But it's fairly easy. It takes give and take a week for us to get done, and requires a couple of hours of your time. And we are pretty flexible because in some cases the reports are quite significant. We recently delivered almost a 50-page report, and there's just a lot of details and new information. So if you need more time to understand it, we are more than happy to do additional follow-up calls and so on. But this is just to say we kind of assess the current landscape, and then we provide a number of recommendations based on the information we have available. And most of the time, it do foster some additional conversations around how you run your business, what are you exactly doing in your warehouses in this example, and how are you using device licenses and so on and so forth. Because there's many different things to consider when you're doing it, because of course we don't want to make changes that are impacting the business users. I have one more slide, and then I hand it over to Tatiana. One of the kind of the baselines we start with is like understanding what are the amount of users you have in production, and in probably I would say 8 out of 10 cases, there's a significant delta between the current licenses, and which is okay, but we always need to think of, okay, this is the starting point. Let's see what we can actually do to reduce, for example, in this case, the 168 numbers, so that you don't have to purchase additionally $27,000 worth a month of extra licenses. We have just added some tentative prices. I know it's different depending on if you're in Europe, if you're US, if you are on promo, on an EA, and so on and so forth. And then we also give you the additional database you will get. This is the current state. And then most of the time, we also give a recommended state where if you follow the recommendations, then this is the best case scenario for your licensing mix. And I would say that there should actually be a third one, because the current and the recommended, that is only based on as much analysis we can do. And when we work afterwards with the customers, we normally have a third kind of data point too, where we actually, in most cases, either come a little bit lower or we change the mix completely. So it all depends on how you operate your business. But if there's no questions as of now, I want to hand that over to Tatiana.
I think that's a fair bet. Let's bring on Tatiana for a little extension of the presentation.
Hello. let me jump in. I don't have this beautiful or any kind of beautiful presentation like Morten has, so I will just pretend that we have a working session with you, and we need to analyze your security, and I will take you through the steps that we usually go through, and I will show you how to activate certain things. Okay, let me share my screen. I will start with the recent addition to our Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. It's 2 new features in the feature management, and you will see that the user security governance is it's a live feature already, while the user security governance license usage summary report is still in preview, but they are fully capable and functioning and pretend to be the best tool we're going to use to analyze licenses. Look, I'm talking about license analysis, while Microsoft is treating this topic a little bit differently. They probably assume that, I don't know, like I shouldn't go with the assumption, but from what I see, it's easy to get the numbers in the Microsoft tools, right? So the first stop that we're going to make is Microsoft security analysis report. It's in the system administration under the security section, segregation from, security governance, security analysis report. This security analysis report, it's, you probably know this report. You know this report from view permissions. It's quite similar to the view permissions. It's pretty much view permissions that we used to have, right? And Morten mentioned before that we lost view permissions that was attached to each license. Right now we have view permissions like the big view of all security roles, all entry points, like different slicing and dicing. And this report helps you a lot. If you don't have telemetry collected, but you have to analyze your licenses, this is the most useful tool. We usually export it to Excel and we play with this report a lot, you know, like something like this, right? We have a role, we need to analyze what kind of licenses this role requires and what entry points drive each license. If I want to see all entry points that I have under this role that drive the finance license, I see them, I see their privileges, their duties, I can make a decision which privilege is required, which not. So this is all quite blind. But anyway, sometimes we don't have telemetry and we make a decision based on our common processes. We know the process. We assume we know the processes, and we go with the license requirement to the privilege, which is a task, right, to the duty, which is a process, and we decide, okay, so if this task is attached to this process, is it a valid attachment? Can we? No, we don't touch out of box. I'm showing the out of box role, but it's a little bit of cheating, right? We don't touch the out of box roles. We of course duplicate them. We make a clone and we update the clone, and same with the privileges, with the duties. But anyway, we make a decision, right? We make a decision whether this task is required for a certain duty or it's not required. This is one approach. The second approach I will show a little bit later. I will show you how to use telemetry together with this report, because telemetry is working really well with this view, and you will see the results. But let's go through the Microsoft tools first. So that's our security analysis. Yes, you can analyze everything else. You can go and you can dig into this. Do we trust this report? Let's talk about our trust level, right? Do we trust this report? In 90% of the time, this report shows quite right information. There is a huge gap in this report. This report incorrectly shows license requirements for data entities and for the data services. Thanks to our friend, he knows he's here. He brought this up some time ago, and after a little research, we found that he's absolutely right. The data entities and the data services are assessed incorrectly. Actually, it's hard to say how they are assessed. And again, I will show this example a little bit later. I will show you the discrepancy that we see between this report, like this assessment, the license requirement in this report, and the license requirement in the other report, which kind of a point of truth, right? So the second report is a point of truth, according to Microsoft. The second report is it's still under the security governance. It's the license usage summary report. And this report is built
no, a moment, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, it's just okay, great, it refreshed. So this report is built. I want to show you. That's the users. Okay, this report is built to give you an idea how much you owe to Microsoft today. So looking at this report, you can select a user. That's my test user. I'm still testing data entities, still trying to find what's going on with the data entities. But this one is actually it shows you the base license, right? The full license. We are saying if anybody needs multiple licenses, we go with the base license and with the attached licenses. Like this user needs 3 licenses according to this report. What does this user have? This user has only data entities, all data entities, and only the services, but all services. So all data entities and all services would require finance, human resource, and supply chain. Finance is based. You know that in this case, it could be the other way, right? Supply chain could be the base license and finance attached. It's also a valid case. Money-wise, it would be the same amount of dollars you're going to pay, or whatever currency you need to pay in. But money-wise, it's going to be the same. However, you can purchase a supply chain base license and finance attached. Human resource is going to be attached in this case because human resource license is cheaper. The base license is cheaper. So it cannot be, in this case, it cannot be the base license. Microsoft goes with the most expensive one, which is finance or supply chain among these 3. But anyway, so this report is great if you want to have a snapshot as of today, how many licenses each user needs, and how many data entries or entry points, how many entry points, these are entry points, are responsible for this license. So this is how many entry points require finance license. Same with the human resource, same with the supply chain. But what if you need to analyze and optimize? I still prefer this report to analyze and optimize, to be honest with you, because the way how this report is built is quite unuseful when I need to retrieve data and play with this data, slice and dice. You know, I'm looking at this as a data set. And this report doesn't give me the data set, like meaningful data set. Yes, you can make a breakdown, user to license, user to role to license requirement. This is a user to role to license requirement, right? This user has a budget manager, and the budget manager requires finance license. And these are the entitled entry points. But you see that it's 2 different grids. And in this case, I need to go through each single user and find what entry points drive each single license, which is quite a lot. Here, you will see that This is where the discrepancy comes. Here you will see that the user who has lots of data entities and nothing else, data entities and services, nothing else, right? So lots of data entities. If I want to know how much each data entity costs, right? What kind of licenses, because this report doesn't give me this information, what kind of licenses each entity requires, I need to build something like this, like the data entities with the right permission. Then I get something like finance and supply chain breakdown, and the subset of the data entities here. And I need to export lots of data. I need to join lots of tables and then append them in this case. And then I will be able to create a data set that I will be able to play with, right? Do slicing and dicing, which is very unuseful. I do it, hours and hours of work, but still unuseful. So that's one point. Then, okay, so what if I go through the roles breakdown, right? Maybe the roles breakdown is a little bit better for analysis, for my analysis. I'm still trying to find what license each data entity requires. That's the question, because I know about the other entry points. The other entry points are quite correctly reflected here, but the data entities are not. What other data entities? And again, I'm going and I'm still like, okay, so the same picture, the same role have 3,820 entry points for the commerce, and almost the same number for finance. And I'm not talking about premium right now. Premium is a separate kind of license, right? You know this. Human resource, and like this is so misleading. And based on this, I created a spreadsheet for myself. Again, these are data entities, and these are the licenses that showed up in that breakdown. And I'm trying to understand, okay, looking at these data entities, so what kind of license is this? This is obviously operations. This is what we call operations, right? Unclassified license, or like it works for any license. But in some cases, we have something absolutely unexpected, like finance, SCM, and commerce. How about the other licenses? Is it operations? Like, so 3 licenses will be required for this data entity. How the person who has never done this analysis in his life can assess the data entity? It's really hard, believe me. It's really hard to get an idea how. So I hope that Microsoft will step in and helps us understand this, or they will make it a little bit more user friendly. Okay, so that's this report. And you can go down and down and down, like any other report. Then, what else we have? We have one nice report that gives me a lot of information in our security analysis. This is the user activity aging. The user activity aging is a kind of a yes/no indicator. So we usually discuss with the client, when do you think, like, there is a moment, right? You know that you have lots of active users that probably have never logged into the system, or they barely visit the system, or they do it once a year. So what to do with these users and how to find these users? This report helps you with this kind of questions. This report will show you when the last login happened, and it will show you how many times this user logged in within the 7, 30, 90, 100, and so on. So it's an aging report, right? How many times this user logged into the system and the last date. And usually we just discuss the date, the critical date when we consider the users who logged in after that period as inactive. And we have the list of the users that we can inactivate, or we can assign a role, a view-only role, which is a team member, $8 license, right? So this report is very useful in your analysis. It will help you a lot to analyze. What else? There was a question about, I promised to answer. There was a question about the roles that show up on the Power Platform report and this report. It looks like this role is assigned when you know that this role is not assigned to the user. It's a known bug. Microsoft acknowledged it. And it happens when you work with this assign users to role screen. And when you assign a user somehow, let's say it's an automatic rule to assign the roles, right? But then you deactivated this assignment. You can do it. You can take a user, this one, no, that's this one, for example, right? And you can click on the exclude from the role, and you will see that assignment mode in this case is going to be like manual, but the status is going to be disabled assignment. Unfortunately, the report still shows these disabled assignments. And in this case, the only suggestion I have is to reset the status. And when you reset the status, I need the assigned, sorry, I need the assigned user. When you reset the status, it will remove this assignment. So it's disabled assignment that Microsoft treats as enabled assignment. Reset status will help in this case. So the question about the duties, there was a question about the duties that a user needs. That's a great question. Blindly, you can answer this question only if you know the processes. If you know the process and you know that the user should not have access to print checks, for example, right? And you see print check as a permission or as a privilege under the duty, you can revoke this duty. You know, like it's not part of the user's process. How about the case when you don't know the processes, or you have some doubts, or like we have securities migrated from somewhere, from a legacy system, or we have different cases, you know, like a third party ISV brought some security, or I don't know, like somebody created this security and left the company. This person used to know the processes, but nobody else knows the process. Lots of questions, lots. In this case, we recommend to activate telemetry. The activation of telemetry is very straightforward, and I'm pretty sure that my colleagues dropped the link to our, and I don't pretend to be like a perfect article writer. I did it for our needs, you know, like it was an internal need that turned out to be an external article. But anyway, very short, go through the go to instruction. What you're going to end up with is the telemetry configuration here. It's very simple, 3 steps. And here you see one environment is included into the monitor, telemetry monitor. So this environment, it's one side of the configuration. The other side of the configuration is in your Azure. And this part of the configuration will start working as soon as you configure your telemetry. Give it a minute or two, and it will start collecting data. And also we placed the little script that you can run. It's right here. No. Did I miss it? Yeah, here. When you place the script into your log, into your KQL mode, don't forget to switch from the simple mode to the KQL mode, and you will get this editable part of the screen. You will place the script. Please replace these quotes. The quotes are formatted is a little bit incorrectly here. So once you replace the quotes and you run it, you will get the spreadsheet like this: when, what entry point, menu item, who accessed, and how long they stayed on this entry point. This is enough to analyze users' activities. And this is the answer what users need. We created 4 reports for this. And I will show the example, like the working example. The 4 reports. The first one is my go-to when I need to analyze the license, and it's the same as you see. It's the same security analysis, the same one that I showed you, like the blue spreadsheet, right? The same one. And here you can pull the license, or even like this, multiple licenses, full licenses, right? We're talking about full licenses. You pull the full licenses. You see the entry point, the menu item here. You see the role that is assigned to certain users. How many users out of total assignment? So this role has 11 users assigned. How many users accessed this entry point according to the telemetry? Only 2. And it's very common. It's very common when you see 31 users assigned and only 1 for last 3 months, for let's say, only 1 access this entry point. And then you, like very soon, you will decide, and also you will see who did, how many times this person did, and how long they stay. So it's the same report, but with answering the question who was this user. And you will quickly decide that, oh, this role needs to be broken down into 2, right? Because I'm better to create a separate role for this one user and let this user keep working on this menu item, and the other users, like the other 10, they don't need it. This is exactly where we're going to, like when we are analyzing data. And the outcome of this is usually more granular security configuration. What else we can do with this? Also, we have the list of the users who have never accessed entry points related to a certain role. This user has the role assigned, but none of the entry points were engaged, starting from whenever this telemetry started collecting data, right? Starting from that point. So this is another helpful assignment suggestion. And that's the third one, where we make a combination of role, duty. This is an out-of-box. Please disregard. I'm not going to update the out-of-box role. But let's say, what if it was a custom role? Role, duty, and how many times users accessed the entry points that I assigned to this duty. 0. It means this duty has never been used under this role. Again, that's another point to make a decision. Maybe this duty is not needed under the role because none of the users accessed the entry points of this duty. This is how we do it. Questions? My dear co-workers, do you have questions that I can answer right away and don't need to follow?
Yes, let's see. I think many of the questions in chat have been answered. There was one from Umair Shakur about since the user license legacy field has been removed from the permissions tab in version 44. Do you have any knowledge about whether Microsoft is planning to add a new license type field in the permissions table to replace this legacy option, or is that not something we know at this point?
In 44, users license legacy field is removed. I still have it if you're talking about security analysis. I'm probably on the early version of 34, but if Microsoft removed this, I'm not aware of this. First of all, I'll be honest, I'm not aware. So it will push me to update this environment and see. I will do it today. That's something kind of like a point of disaster for me, to be honest. If they removed, we have no point of truth anymore. So we have no place where we can go to and collect all information all at once and analyze. So we are losing our analysis. This is an analysis tool. We are losing our analysis tool if they removed. If it's like you're saying, I will be able to answer this question tonight. I will upgrade this environment and I will see what we are going to have in our latest quality update. If it's so, it's going to be. We're going to address it with Microsoft because this report is not the tool to analyze. This is the report to pay money.
Right. Yeah, and we will definitely be digging into this, and Umair will probably reach out to you directly with the answers that we find. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, good feedback.
Yeah.
What version, Wayne? I think it's 44, right, Tatiana?
Yeah, we're on 44. Yes, we're on 44. I will tell you more. There is a quality update, definitely, because it's a demo environment. We don't update it often. We have demos all the time, so we need to find time to update, a good window to update. But I will arrange it today to see what we are going to have in the latest quality update. But anyway, it's kind of a showstopper for me, to be honest with you. I hope it's not going to happen tonight.
Right. And let's see. I believe beyond that, there's a question from Olivier Thibault about in Power Platform Admin Center / LCS report. There's a difference between base, commerce, finance, supply chain management licenses versus other licenses. They're asking about what is the difference between those and premium licenses. They don't see premium licenses in Power Platform Admin Center, but they see them in D365 reports.
Right. Morten, do you want me to answer this question, or do you want to answer yourself?
If I understand your question correctly, what are the difference between D365 Finance and D365 Finance Premium? There's both a cost difference of, I think it's barely, $90. Yeah. And then in the finance, you have a set of additional functionalities. So if you look in the licensing guide that they publish every month, there is a breakdown of what additional features you have. If you don't see it in the Power Platform report, the admin report, I would probably have to take a look at it because we see it. So all depends on if you have them deployed or not deployed. But the premium superior the regular finance because it's more expensive.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? The premium license is quite interesting. You are not going to see the need of the premium license from the requirement of the premium license from D365 Finance and Operations. Why? Because the premium license brings external features to D365. For example, premium supply chain brings demand planning, right? Premium finance brings finance insights. So it's kind of, it's my observation that it's additional AI tools that can be used in supply chain or finance. And when you require it, it's not a requirement according to your role configuration, but when you require it, you purchase a premium license to get additional tools.
I think also we are on time. But if you have any additional questions, we can include some information around the differences when we send out the recording. That's a good idea. And if there's anyone that have some concerns around your current state, feel free to reach out, and we are happy to have a conversation of what's happening, why is it happening, and how can you resolve it. And Andre, thanks for the different the feedback. We are definitely bringing it up to Microsoft. Later today, we're talking with them, and then, but via email, and next week we are meeting them in person, the different teams that are rolling out these functionalities to make them aware of the current known issues. So happy
And
to
it
work
is,
with you. Yeah.
yeah, it's safe to say that the entire licensing enforcement issue is an evolving issue. So there are likely to be updates in these various areas as we go forward.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for all your questions and all your comments. The recording will be out in a couple of days. And if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out, and we are more than happy to assist.